Good evening, everybody. I hope that you're doing well. Tonight, I thought I would pull out another one of my vintage magazines. I love looking through vintage magazines, and I have quite the collection. I don't know why these videos don't do so well because I personally love these kinds of magazines. You can go back in time and just get all the nostalgia vibes from it all. Now tonight we are looking at a Circus magazine from 1994. January 31st, 1994. So I was about 11 years old, and at that time I was a huge fan of Green Day. Circus, as well as Hit Parader, were magazines back in the 90s that were very popular amongst the rockers, and I used to always get these in the mail. I just always looked forward to seeing them, and they would come with pull-out posters, and I would pull them out and put them all over my wall. I had so many of them in my walls. I'm pretty sure a lot of us in the 90s did that. We just had our walls covered in posters. So I started getting into Blind Melon in my 20s. It wasn't until later on in life when I started getting into Blind Melon, a huge lover of them. And it's very unfortunate what happened to Shannon Hoon from Blind Melon, and that's Shannon on the front cover. I was into a lot of bands from the 90s, so I just love these magazines and just going through them and reminiscing about good times. So let's begin. On the front we have giant fold-out Pearl Jam and Nirvana posters. Blind Melon, no Wayne in sight. Pearl Jam, Go Animal on opening night, a live report, plus Pearl Jam quiz. Nirvana, Mosh Pit Madness at tour kickoff, the Smashing Pumpkins and White Zombie. So here we have a pretty rad guitar. Vince Neil, advertising for Gibson. Here we have the topics on the magazine. We have some letters written in from some of the viewers. Let me see what they say. Let's see if there's anything I should read. Okay, here's something about Blind Melon CD. Falling on blind ears. To those of you who bought the Blind Melon CD after seeing the No Rain video, where were you a year ago when Dear Old Dad, Tones of Home, and I Wonder were released? Those videos are all superior to Shannon Hoon, bare-chested in a field of grass with a bee girl dancing around, and No Rain cannot compare to the rest of the album. Don't ruin another good band. Enjoy something for what it is, not for what everyone else makes it. Now, this happened a lot back in the day. There was a lot of competition. There was a lot of jealousy. So there would be a fan, and nobody could be a bigger fan than that one fan, if you know what I'm saying. And this happened a lot, so people would get upset because they'd feel like a band became more mainstream and they didn't want them to become that popular in a way because they appreciated them when they were not so famous more than others, and then once they became really famous, they got a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of fans. So the ones that have been around the longest feel kind of, I don't know, betrayed in a way. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly, but if you grew up back then, you would know. Okay, so this looks like some, I don't know. $12 issues for $12, only $1 a copy. Rage fans get their Philly. I don't need your Civil War. Guns N' Roses right here. Zach from Rage Against the Machine. Let's see who's on tour. Aerosmith, Blues Traveler. I was just listening to Blues Traveler. Fabulous Thunderbirds, The Organization, Sting, video games. Let's look at these video games. Okay, we have Battle Cars. The new year brings a bounty of new games. Super Empire Strikes Back, Ranger X, Ploak, First Down Pass 283, my college football, NHL-94, Football Fury, Legends of the Ring. I mean, just look at the graphics here. Now, those are the graphics from 94, and think about the graphics today, how much it has changed. So, Blind Melon. Oh, I was obsessed with them in my 20s. I still love them. And it just breaks my heart that Shannon Hoon passed away, and as well as Kurt Cobain. And, what is that? Yes, that is a gun in our package, and we are happy to see you. So it looks like it's some video game. Lethal and Forger's Sega CD. I want to ask anybody listening to this video right now, and you grew up back then, did you ever hear of the game called Nightmare? Nightmare. It was when you put a cassette tape in, and this creepy guy would tell you what to do, and he'd scream at you. You gotta look it up on YouTube. But we played that as kids. My mother allowed us to, and it would scare the daylights out of me. And he would scream, and if I missed a turn or something, or I landed on the wrong dice, and he would scream, "You scum-sucking maggot." I'm just curious if anybody else remembers that. So here's a little bit about Blind Melon. I'm going to have to read this close because my vision's really bad, guys. Six of the 13 songs on Blind Melon's self-titled debut album, I can't figure out that word today, refer to the sun. In time, the bright yellow globe soothes the body of a cloud gazer. In Paper Scratcher, it's a round scoundrel to be screamed at the reference. Work subconsciously with Blind Melon's gentle strains to leave a warm image in listeners' minds. That's just a little bit about them, okay? There'll be more. And here we go with the 8 CDs or 12 cassettes for 1 penny. This was very popular in the day. A lot of kids would get a hold of this, and they would, we had something called BMG and Columbia House. So you can order, I think, like 8 CDs or cassettes. They send them to you and you pick which ones you like and send the rest back, and then send a money order or a check back with the ones you purchased. Well, a lot of the kids would do this and they just wouldn't pay the bill. Probably why they went out of business. And also because of the internet taking over. But here you could see that you can pick any kind of CD or cassette. And it was really cool. I always looked forward to getting all the cassettes and then listening to them. And as I look at this photo, I see Shannon Hoon, who I had a huge crush on. And now when I look at this photo, I say, oh my goodness, I was a young girl, and back then they looked so old to me. And now they look so young because I'm old now. But I just loved his whole vibe. Still do. Oh man. He had a beautiful voice. To the left, there's Shannon Hoon. We know what he's doing in that photo. And here's Shannon Hoon as well, singing. I have to say that I really like that photo. It wasn't distasteful or anything. It's just a great photo. This photo was when he was performing. Now, I want to say that if you don't know, he passed away from a OD, and he had a lot of issues with that, where he would use it and then try to get better, and unfortunately it did him in, and it was, the white stuff. That's what he was on. But let me read a little bit of this, okay? When we got the record deal, we told them how premature we felt it was. Okay, let's look at a little thing on the side here. Okay, it's called Hoon Knew. Top 10 things you didn't know about Shannon Hoon. Shannon Hoon is not his real name. It's Richard Shannon Hoon. By age 9, Shannon had a black belt in karate. In high school, Shannon lettered in football, wrestling, and track, pole vaulting. Shannon has an awesome 3-point jumper, but he's no threat under the boards, according to a member of our staff who played hoops with him. Shannon did not attend Lafayette Jefferson High with Axl Rose. Shannon went to McCutcheon, a school on the outskirts of Lafayette, named after Depression-era cartoonist. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these words. High school sweetheart and still close friend Lisa. Shannon sang Don't Cry years before his duet with Axl. He heard an early Guns N' Roses demo tape and performed the song in his first band, Stiff Kitten. Shannon also sang behind Guns N' Roses on November Rain, The Garden, Live and Let Die, and You Ain't the First. Shannon's mom works in a restaurant. His dad is a bricklayer. Nude Shannon appearances in Vancouver, Canada on Halloween. He was arrested. The cover of Rolling Stone, he should have been arrested. Opening a Guns N' Roses concert in Switzerland, he wore only a Viking helmet, dancing in front of billboard of the B-Girl outside Capitol Records in LA. Yeah, I totally loved his vibe. He was a little bit crazy, a little free-spirited, and just, just had a great vibe to him. Here we have Shannon Hoon again. And over here we have Bret Michaels. Let's check him out from 1994. That's Bret Michaels. With a nice guitar. I love acoustic guitars. Some really awesome pictures here of Shannon. So let's try to get some close-ups. Okay, I'm gonna read some of this. Okay, I showed you the photos. Here it says he's completely nuts, says Christopher Thumb. Hoon strips again. At press time, Shannon was arrested in Canada for urinating on stage. Well, I definitely, don't condone that or anything like that, but I'm sure he probably had to use the bathroom really bad. I don't know what excuse to give for that, but I'm sure he was under some kind of substance. We got Nirvana here. Nirvana launches in utero tour. Okay. There's Kurt. Wow. I didn't realize that was Kurt Cobain. There's Kurt with his Freddy Krueger style sweater. Here he is with his reddish hair, reddish pink, purple-ish hair. I think it looked pretty badass. when they came out, I really liked it. I loved the whole style of music. I believe she was the bass player. She was pretty badass at it. Rob Zombie, he's a very interesting man. We never auditioned people, it was just whoever we found first. As you know, he is no longer in White Zombie, he's now Rob Zombie. Do you remember the very first White Zombie gig? I remember the first two. I can't remember which was actually first. One of them was at CBGB's at their Monday night audition night. I don't know what we did. I have a tape of it, but I never listened to it because I know it's just so horrible. Who would you say is your sole inspiration? The band that got to me first, that made me think music is cool, was Kiss. But they didn't make me think that I could do it. It wasn't until later when I was really into the Bad Brains and Black Flag that I thought, like, yeah, I could do that. Free music video of your choice. Country, pop, rock video monthly. 10 hot new music videos every month. Interesting. Here we have the Stone Temple Pilots. Here's Pearl Jam, Eddie Vedder. There was always, competitions between him and them, as well as Nirvana. So growing up, there was either the kids that was Nirvana fans or Pearl Jam fans. You couldn't choose both. I mean, you could, but, you were either a Pearl Jam fan or a Nirvana fan because there was a lot of, talk that one band's copying the other band. So I was on Nirvana's side, but I love Pearl Jam, don't get me wrong. I got more into them later on in life, though. I think a lot of the posters are coming up. I hope there's not too much of a glare. So Nirvana formed in 1987 in Aberdeen, Washington. Kurt Cobain, vocals, guitar, Chris Novoselic, bass, Dave Grohl, drums. Okay, I totally just butchered that. Let's do that again. Kurt Cobain is vocals and guitar. Chris Novoselic is bass. Dave Grohl, drums. Recent CD is In Utero, 1993. Here we have Porno for Pyros, formed in 1992 in Los Angeles, California. Wow, so they pretty much got together and got big. I had their cassette as well. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now, I don't know what it is, but I never really got into them. My mom had a huge crush on the singer, but I don't know. There's a couple songs I like, but it just doesn't do much for me. Here we have Soul Asylum. I was just listening to their song the other day, Runaway Train. I remember being a little girl hearing that and seeing the music video, and it would put me in tears because if you've seen it, you know exactly why it would put me in tears. And lo and behold, I hear it on the radio and I start crying. Because I just think about the children, and I think about how innocent children go through so much pain, and they're not raised right. I know that's not what the song's about. It's about something more sinister, kidnapping and sex trafficking and stuff like that, and it's absolutely horrible. And it always makes me sad to hear that song, but it's such a great song. Do you guys remember the Lemonheads? Not the candy, the band. Well, there they are. We got a poster of Pearl Jam here. Well, Eddie Vedder. Here we have more Pearl Jam. Even more Pearl Jam. Eddie Vedder making this crazy face. He was really getting into it. I guess I should say the many faces of Eddie Vedder while performing. But I can't believe how young he looks, because when I was young, he looked like an old man. Well, not an old man, but he looked older because he was older. If I'm a little girl, of course he's gonna look like a dad. The Smashing Pumpkins. Another awesome band. I always thought she was so beautiful. She was. It was very popular to have bleached blonde hair back then with red lips. This is all about guitars. I used to love these. You can order any music t-shirt. That was big back then, is music t-shirts, band tees. You don't really see them anymore. I used to be able to go into Hot Topic and that's all there was band merchandise. And now I go into Hot Topic and it's all this anime stuff. But yeah, used to be able to get pins, buttons, sweatpants, patches, necklaces, calendars, all kinds of things that was music related. If you didn't grow up back then and you didn't have MTV or watch it, you're missing out. You were missing out because it was so awesome back then. And I just remember always looking over here and telling my mom what I wanted for Christmas. She always knew how to get me some great Christmas presents because it was all cassettes and CDs and band t-shirts, and she knew I loved that, and she was a huge music lover. She had a basement full of about, like over 2,000 records. Metal Hotline. There used to be a number that I used to call at the payphone. It was 1-800-MUSIC NOW. And it would play the latest bands, like their latest singles, and it would just give like a little teaser. And I loved doing that. I go down to the public library and use their payphone and just sit there and listen to all the new songs that are out and get all excited about it. Here's another rockabilia. Let's check this out up close. I see some Sublime, Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses, Green Jelly, Helmet, Faith No More. Great album, by the way. The Doors. Can't go wrong with the Doors. Blind Melon. I want that shirt. Lots of Metallica. Beavis and Butthead. They were very popular back then. Lots of Nirvana shirts. The Misfits. Ozzy Osbourne. Pearl Jam. Lots of Pearl Jam. I even see some Pink Floyd. Primus. And we're coming up to the end of the magazine. Let's look at the classifieds. Photos and posters. Okay, exclusive concert photos you can get. Record tapes and discs. How to place your ad. Oh, the pen pals. I have another magazine looking at Hit Parader magazine if you're interested. And I think there was an ad. And I used to do this. I mentioned this. So back in the day they had, if anyone out there is serious about their thrash music like me or just want to write me here in person, and they gave away their address in a magazine. But there was an ad for pen pals that you would pay $3 and you would get 2 pen pals of your choice, a male or a female. And of course I went for the male, although I was 11 years old or 12. I think it was 11. And I got 2 pen pals. One was actually from Pennsylvania and one was from Oklahoma, who originally was from England. And I remember that was the first time I heard of an English accent, or at least written, because he wrote me and he said, "Me name is," instead of "my name is." So I ran to my mom and I said, "Why did he say this?" And she said, "That's how they talk." And I lied about my age, by the way, because you had to be a certain age. So I told them I was 15 when I was only 11 years old. Another thing is I sent one of the boys, I had this chain wallet that I got at some fair, and Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day always wore one of those. They were very popular in the 90s. The wallets with the long, metal chains. And I wanted to be nice, and I sent it to him in an envelope. And that probably cost a lot more than one stamp. But I'm assuming the postmaster guy, the mailman guy, he probably knew it was from me, and he probably added the additional postage on it to be nice, because this kid actually received it in the mail. I mean, it weighed like 5 pounds. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and there will be more vintage magazines, so if you're interested, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you like. The next one is going to be a more vintage magazine, so it'd be probably around the era of the 70s, 60s, 70s. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that you have a great night. Thanks for watching.